Hi, this is Sherry with a review of the latest Peak shoe from China. This was a signature for Tony Parker if he played another season, but unfortunately he's retired. This one came out just in time to allow Tony Parker to not be able to display this on court. This is the TP9, as in Tony Parker and his jersey number 9, version 7, the 7th edition already. It's arguably, personally, I think this is the best dang Chinese shoe you could ever find. And we've seen quite a number of good ones. The Li-Nings were making quite an impact in the market with their expensive, very high price point, and Dwayne Wade endorsing it. But yeah, this is the future. The Tai Chi Midsole is amazing. I've talked about the Tai Chi cushioning and the Tai Chi runner that first came out. The midsole is so soft, and some might wonder if it's too soft, but it is a unique type of cushioning where they actually provide you with a little gel, the essential ingredient to create this midsole in its raw, processed but somewhat raw form. It actually stretches thinly to silk, and if you just pull it apart, it just snaps. So that's the kind of density or response it has to impact. The thing is, when you're hitting hard on a broad area like your heel strike, it is more resilient. If you're moving side to side, lateral movements on your forefoot, there's significantly less area that's covered, but there's impact. There's pressure moving a little bit from left to right. So when there's gradual pressure, it seeps you in like quicksand. So it feels like a water bed maybe. So it's a really plush feeling. Plush bounce. That's the kind of a different response it has to different parts of your foot, and the kind of impact you'll be making, or the kind of pressure you'll be exerting on it. And it works. But they could have done a little bit better. I think it's still work in progress. It's great, it's good, but I'm sure they can improve on it. What's interesting is that they've actually used a Tai Chi element, the cushioning system, on the insole as well. Back in the past, we've had Spawn Anatomics, one of the very successful early Under Armour basketball shoes, doing that with their Micro G for their insoles, but yeah, it's very thin, and you barely feel if this is Micro G or just some EVA, and it just wears off, bottoms out fast. So that's just not great at all. But it feels lighter than polyurethane or PU insoles, but it's as plush as PU insoles, but at the same time it's soft to the touch like Lunarlon. So it is a very unique type of insole, and this is not the only one that provides cushioning. This only complements the amazing Tai Chi midsole it already has, so they work in tandem nicely. The Tai Chi midsole here, it feels somewhat close to the brand black rare metal Jetlon, but of course Jetlon is a bit more lower to the ground, and you feel it compressing immediately. You don't feel the bounce back. The Tai Chi cushioning has somewhat of a better response or a bounce back feeling than the Jetlons, but it's something that's very close to that. Unfortunately, it's a bit heavy. It's a size 9 or 9.5 is as about 450 grams. That's lighter than the Harden 2s, which was heavy as hell, and still a little bit heavier or closer to the Jordan 32s, which was pretty. There were no lightweight shoes, but still it's lighter than the Harden 3s. So yeah, it's a nice little middle ground between the two. The knit material on the medial side, and they have somewhat of a synthetic leather on the lateral side. The design reminds you a lot of the Adidas Crazy Light Boost 2015 version 2.5 they had for Harden and Wiggin and a bunch of players, but the difference is they didn't have a leather material that's providing somewhat of a greater lockdown on this part. They had mostly prime knit and they were kind of flimsy. So this is a better job than what Adidas did. The shoelace, yeah, it's interesting and it works. It works. I was afraid that I might have a little bit of a lacking lockdown as it's as there's little space closer to the toe box area, but it works. But the toe box area, there's a bit of a room there. So if you have big toes or your feet is a little bit thicker than others, then maybe you'll find this fine. But do go true to size, or maybe go down half a size if you have very narrow feet. For me, true to size works, and there's still a little bit of a space here, but it's not something that's terribly bothersome or provides you with some dangerous instability. The lateral side is got this type of a very soft TPU type of coating all around, so it provides a lot more support, because when you're playing basketball, you're propelling yourself sideways like this, but you don't want to be bending this way. So they're soft enough though. I mean, this little part, this Peak logo provides a little bit more solid stability so that your ankle won't be rolling. But these parts, they are soft. They are soft enough to allow the Tai Chi to do its magic. But I'm a little disappointed with how far out this is, because if this was closer to your heel, that means faster response times. I mean, the Tai Chi Midsole itself provides adequate cushioning, so you didn't need to have this access area, which would reduce your response time or your speed as you're stepping forward and moving. So that's something they can work on. The knit type of material, it's nice. It's not stretchy at all. Just the tongue has a bit of a elasticy knit part, and it's soft enough to make sure that the shoelace lockdown wouldn't be choking you in any way. So that's good design. The medial part, this knit material, if it's just a knit material, it'll be great, but they have another slight inner booty. So that's personally, I find that unfortunate, because that could have reduced the weight and could have improved breathability, and the knit material could form to your feet even better, since you already have this leather part. But unfortunately, the inner booty surrounds the whole feet, and then you have the leather and the knit part. So there are two layers. On the heel, they have an interesting, they call it the cat tongue type of, what do you call that, material. So it feels like, you know how cats use their tongue to comb their fur and whatnot. It slides nicely, and you feel somewhat of an abrasive resistance as your finger moves up. So it's supposed to help prevent slippage. But personally, I don't find it necessary. I don't find it terribly helpful. It just kind of wears out your socks a little bit. But hey, if they keep working on it, maybe they'll be able to make progress and evolve to a different level where it's not disturbing your socks, but rather keeping your feet in place. The padding is great, but unfortunately there's a bit of a chunky clump of stitching here. So personally, after my first game, it had a bit of an abrasive part. I had a bit of a problem there, a bit of a blister there, but nothing thicker socks and maybe some ankle pads won't fix. But I wish they would have done something to kind of prevent that from happening. It's got a nice little number 9 for Tony Parker. The other side says TP or Peak logo or something. It's reminiscent of the Jordan 6. Yeah, it doesn't do much, but it's nice aesthetics. It's good to have something high up in the heel so that no one's kicking inside your Achilles heel. The padding itself, it provides a smooth ride in. You don't have to choke your feet all the way to force and stuff it in. It's got a nice little opening that makes it an easy wear. The outsole, the outrigger rather, it's amazingly thick. So that is always welcome development. It's got a Tony Parker signature there, and you can see how bulging that is. So it's there to prevent your ankle from rolling. The outsole pattern, it's very reminiscent of the bone wave radiation pattern we've seen in the Adidas Crazy Light 3s. And the exaggerated, zoomed in herringbone pattern that you've seen in the Row 6. Both shoes had great traction. This one, even though it's translucent rubber, it's very soft and somewhat sticky. So the traction was good. I won't say great, but they are almost as good as the originals they tried to mimic. And the grooves are deep enough so that it should last you longer than some models who have just, barely scratched patterns that wears out and it becomes, just smooth and useless after a few wears. Concerning part is this little peak logo, right? It's actually bulging out, so this part will be the first to wear off, and they'll be the first to become smooth. So I wish they wouldn't do things like this in the future. The price point, it's not that bad. I got mine for like slightly over $100. I think the price, they do have a number of discount programs going on every now and then. So check with your local retailers. The colorway they came out from where I am, they were available in like 4 colorways. I wish they had come up with more colorways and something, something wider or something blacker instead of something in the middle and something irrelevant like Charlotte Hornets color and whatnot.